Alright, we got 2 more Speedhut gauges made. So here's the replica fuel level, and then the coolant temp. One thing I need to do is make sure that I'll have them change the scale on that, so that'll sit right up the middle. And then we ended up taking the 20 mile an hour numbers out, so it goes in increments of 40. I think it looks a lot cleaner. But yeah, getting closer and closer to offering a full set of S130 livery Speedhut gauges. Just got to do the center 3 now, and I think we'll be good. Here's the 240Z that we're doing the Apex engineered rear differential swap. And so a little bit of an update on this car. We are still waiting on we were waiting for a while for some parts to come in. You know, shortly after our vlog post, Ohm at Apex reached out to us and he's like, hey, we have a whole kit that has all of the revisions built into it. You know, he was like, hey, I'd like to send you a kit with all the corrections made. It solves a lot of the fitment issues that you ran into. And so we were like, well, yeah, cool. We'd love to cover what was redone to fix some of the fitment issues we had. You know, I know that YouTube is all about drama. That's the internet. The internet's all about drama. But at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. I feel it's kind of a little bit necessary based off some of the comments we've gotten from people on our YouTube channel and just some of the dickheads in the Datsun community. There's always a few, and y'all all probably know who they are already just by me mentioning it, but we're all on the same team. There's no beef. We are a vendor for Apex Engineered. We're a vendor for Techno Toy Tuning, for a lot of other companies within the Datsun community. You know, at the end of the day, the whole purpose of us vlogging a lot of this stuff is so that you, the customer, get as much information as you can, and you can make an educated decision on what you purchase, whether it's a product we offer, Apex, Techno Toy, whoever. At the end of the day, you expect honesty, and that's what we're going to do. And sometimes people mistake honesty for roasting or shit-talking or whatever, and that's not the case. So, that being said, we're all on the same team. There's no bad blood between us or any of the companies out there. We all work together, and just to highlight, you know, when there are mistakes that are made and when things do happen, you know, it's up to us as vendors to make it right, and Apex is no different. You know, the customer bought this kit probably 2 years ago, and a lot of things can change in 2 years, and so by the time we finally got around to installing it, you know, about 1.5 years had already passed. You know, people have already been feeding this data to Ohm, and it just so happens we were late to the party. But it's all good. So, you know, Ohm was like, hey man, let me send you a revised kit. You know, let's cover all of the stuff on the next vlog whenever you install it. We were already waiting for their revised Willwood brake kit anyways. So he was like, dude, it's no problem. Let me just send you the revised cross member and let's get it. We're going to have to drop it anyways to finish the sheet metal work. So let's get a new cross member over to you and, you know, talk about what we changed and things like that on the next vlog. So that's what we're doing. So it finally showed up yesterday. We're going to push it off to early next year, sometime in maybe mid to late January. We're going to get this car back in the air, and we're going to do the swap, talk about how much better, hopefully, it is. You know, we're also not sponsored by Apex Engineered in any way. We, you know, we have a dealer agreement with them, essentially, and, you know, he doesn't send us anything for free. So that allows me to give you impartial information on what we think about a product, what the issues we run into, the benefits, things like that. Yeah, that's where we're at. So you're going to have to give us a little bit of patience. It's going to take us a little while to get this vehicle back up in the air and dedicate a couple of weeks to swapping the cross member and installing the rest of the brakes and all that. So, but just to let you know, that is coming down the pike. So stay tuned, keep following our videos for the latest information on that. Well, we're doing a Resonator delete on a newer X5 with a B58, so that's pretty cool. It's 2024 with 5,300 miles on it. So this thing should sound pretty good. a shit-eating grin on their face.
Stand right there.
Nah, I know better. This is why you don't buy injectors on eBay. Oh yeah. Nice.
This is Johnson's engine. Put this shit in the car already, bro.
That don't fit.
Put it in the car.
Gotta go trim more. Don't fit. Can't get nut. No nut.
No nut.
No nut.
Damn.
So quick tech tip for doing rack bushings in a 280Z R&R engine.
Just take it out. So
Yeah?
So what?
You don't want y'all to... Bo comes up to me and says, I think the rack bushing straps are welded to the car.
Hey, whoa.
He says, I took the nuts out. I said, okay.
They had some extra nuts, that's one.
He starts smashing on it. And the bolts are still in it. So I said, hey, Bo.
Yeah, extra nuts.
It comes apart a lot easier when you take the bolts out of the car.
Yeah, all 4 of them.
Oops.
Oops.
Well, if you're looking for ideas for a proper heat shield with a ProtunerZ intake, this is made with Bo's bare hands.
Took me all day.
With no gloves.
Started out with cardboard heat shields.
Mm-hmm. Well, that should definitely keep it from heat soaking
Oh yeah, I'm really happy with this.
and the heat burning the intake manifold like it does.
It probably will.
Well, no, like if it didn't have a heat shield. Because remember all the other...
Yes. Yes.
We've installed like, what, 3 or 4 of these now? And they all come back later on with like the anodizing burned off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, imagine that, you know, a part sandwiched next to something hot needs a heat shield.
What's up, guys? Back to the vlog. You know, we got Mr. Johnson's engine here. We got it stabbed in. It's almost ready to go.
Only took us 2 hours. It's like an episode of West Coast Customs. They built a whole car in 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
Oh, you already took the airflow meter out?
I took it out. I was getting
Okay.
ideas.
Sucks that we powder coated that bracket. That
Yeah.
we're not gonna, well, I guess we can use it, just we'll relocate it elsewhere. Or we're gonna have to extend the harness?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to extend the throttle sensor.
Right.
Extend that one. But I have ideas for how to mount everything.
Yeah. Shove it in that hole real quick so we can show
Shove it in
how
the hole.
how it's no worky.
So this is how it would bolt, like that. Right there. That's factory.
So if you're running the ProtunerZ intake with factory EFI, just be prepared to be doing a lot of fab work or paying somebody to do it. So, but yeah, I think putting it under here is going to make it look a lot cleaner.
Yeah. So I can use these 2 mounting holes.
Mm-hmm.
And do like this.
Yeah.
Roughly. And then 245s.
Those are just the stainless
These
ones?
are stainless. I was just getting them for the angles, and they're the right size. So
Oh, cool. We can use the discontinued LS400
that's what I was
tubing.
gonna recommend.
Wait, is it? No, that's 3. Is that
No,
3 or
they're
3 1/4?
They're 3. The first gen is 3 1/4.
Oh, right.
The regular one is 3.
Okay.
So 245s.
Yeah.
And probably a 90-degree coupler will be right there for that airflow meter.
Okay.
And this right here, it'll be right there. And just put the filter and stuff over there.
Yeah, that'll get the job done. So, you're gonna have to look upstairs for this switch. They're discontinued.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, it's looking good.
There is this nipple right here. Don't know what
Yeah,
it's gonna go to that.
It's the vacuum source to, because it's an LS style throttle body.
So
On the LS motors, that goes to the valve cover, if I remember right, for the PCV valve.
Okay.
So yeah, that needs to get
Cap it.
Yeah, it needs to be capped.
Okay. And there's also another hole right here.
What do you mean?
It's threaded, but there's another opening right here.
Oh, probably needs to be plugged.
Plug.
So look in the throttle body. There's 2 ports, vacuum
Yeah.
ports.
Yep.
Well, one's for the IAC. This one should go to. Or maybe this is the fresh air source for the IAC. And this is threaded, yeah. Well, hell, when we start it up, let's just see what has vacuum and what doesn't.
Yeah.
We got to relocate the ignition coil hardware. We'll probably actually stick it here now that all this factory coil bolt's here and it was hitting the throttle cable pulley. So we're going to fix that. We're going to convert it to a 16-inch, like 2,500 CFM electric fan from Spal. So we're waiting on that. And in fact, I actually forgot. He called me earlier. I got to go call him and talk to him. But I'm pretty sure he approved everything. But yeah, it's coming along. Just did our first heat cycle on this thing. This is whistling like hell. It was on Church of L series, and apparently the idle air control port whistles really bad because it's supposed to have an idle air control and not a block-off plate, but factory EFI problems.
I'm telling you, it sounds like one of those twirly tubes. I forgot.
Yeah.
I don't, whirly durlies or whatever. No. Twirly whirlies. I'm too young for that. I don't know. Yeah, of course.
So what we think is happening is this didn't come with an O-ring. And it goes in that bore.
Push my tool back.
So we're going to put an O-ring on it, but what I was reading on Church of L is these edges here are really sharp, just poor quality machining. So, so we're going to chamfer them per somebody's recommendation and see between that, putting an O-ring around this, which wasn't supplied, see if it fixes the noise, and go from there. I will say if you actually put a idle air control valve in one of these, like even if it's just a dead one, it doesn't make that noise. So it's got to be something to do with all this. So after a bunch of trial and error, talking back and forth with the customer, we came to the conclusion that trying to band-aid the factory EFI system with the ProtunerZ intake was just barking up the wrong tree. And I didn't feel right charging him over and over for making adjustments and screwing with it, you know, trying different things. I speculate that you could probably put turbo injectors on an NA to richen up the mixture. It would probably be pretty close, but we have this thing jacked up at like 70 psi fuel pressure. It's just not supplying enough fuel for this intake manifold. It just uses a lot more air. And so he finally bit the bullet and agreed to buy a Mega Squirt. He bought one during our Black Friday sale. It's actually finished. I think all it has to do is get tested on our test engine and then it's ready to get installed. I wanted to have it installed this week before we left, but I got super behind on a 280ZX turbo exhaust and forgot. So that's what Bo is working on now. But yeah, should you run a ProtunerZ intake with the factory EFI? No, you should not. Can it work? Possibly. If it was my car, you know, I probably could have messed with it with enough time and got it working okay, but this is a paying customer, you know, time is money, and it just wasn't going to be fair to him to keep charging him by the hour to play with this thing and make adjustments and get it right when we know the solution that he's going to be happier with anyways is a Mega Squirt. It's fully tunable. You don't have to screw with any of that stuff. If you're going to be doing a ProtunerZ intake on factory EFI, tread very lightly. There's an immediate issue with clearance. Still no heat shield. You've got to relocate the airflow meter. You've got to relocate the ignition coil. You got to do all these little things, right? And then you lose out on the factory function. The factory EFI is designed to work with the auxiliary air controller, the cold start valve, all these different control devices. And you don't get to retain any of that with a ProtunerZ intake. It's not to say that it's not a nice part and that it isn't going to give you better performance, but it's just not, doesn't play well with factory EFI, so I would not recommend it. So if you're going to do that, tread lightly, be prepared to be frustrated. Maybe somebody else figured it out, but you know, that's on them. At the end of the day, this is not like a modern car where you can take a performance part, do a quick flash tune, and make it work like OEM. So if you want OEM, keep OEM parts. If you want performance, buy performance parts. Alright, we're getting ready to put a alternator bracket on this iron block, but because it's an iron block, this hole was not drilled or tapped from the factory. So luckily ICT billet makes a really nice drill jig, which I'm getting ready to do. And we got our spec for our drill bit and the tap. So I'm going to get that drilled and tapped so I can mount the alternator, mock it up. I think we have an alignment issue with this pulley. And with LS motors, there's always a difference between the type of pulleys and the accessories you use, and the fact that this is a truck motor, but I got a car crank pulley. And so I think there was supposed to be a spacer or something back here that didn't get provided with the motor. And I called Summit yesterday. They didn't really have a clear answer for me. So I'm just going to kind of mount all of the accessories and get a measurement, see how far off we are, and then determine from there if I need a spacer, if so, how much, and maybe see if I can get them to swap out for the mid-size pulley. So they sell 3 of this specific one. So you get your Corvette F-body, you've got your CTSV Pontiac variants, and then you have the truck, which is the furthest out. So we'll see if I can get them to take care of me on that. But in the meantime, let's get to tracking down our drill bits. So one thing you're going to want to make sure you have is a bottoming tap, which this one came from McMaster Car. And if you look at a bottoming tap versus a normal tap, you can see this has a much smaller taper profile, so it can go further in the hole and continue to cut threads. Now, get us a nice threaded hole in the block for the alternator. And then we're getting ready to break ground finally on Mr. Everson's LS swap. Finally got everything situated here after pulling like 20 belts off the shelf from XL Parts next door. None of the information on ICT Billet's website was correct, so shout out to them for the wild goose chase. But we got the Camaro alternator, Camaro crank pulley, Camaro F-body / Corvette water pump, everything ready to go. So something else, don't trust Summit Racing to tell you that, hey, this pulley works with this engine, because it doesn't. So I've got to call them and tell them, hey, you need to take this thing back. And then I'm waiting on injectors because I ordered ones that were too tall. The vendor's going to swap me out. So yeah. Finally gonna move all of Everson parts off of our pallet rack to his vehicle. You're getting your YouTube certifications?
We're looking up turbos.
Dude, I didn't realize how much stuff we had.
What do you mean?
Yeah, and I'm sure there's stuff I forgot too.
Oh yeah, we'll find some stuff.
Yeah.
Careful, Drew built this.
Damn, I didn't bring my phone out here. Yeah, because we're gonna have to set the final distance with the transmission, like
Yeah.
But the pan's not hitting?
The pan was sitting on the rack, but I moved it backwards far enough to where the pan is below the rack.
Okay.
So, but I can't go forward anymore because now it's blocking.
Yeah, we don't need to go forward. Yeah, we might have to trim that stud down. So Pina, I think, is a Corvette alternator. This is like a general, like, I think it's an Escalade alternator.
Why they're different? Or spacing?
It's just the one I picked. I think it's 160 amps or something like that.
Alright, so Pina's is 4 5/8 from the head.
And we're at what?
Like right at 5.
So we're only like, what is that, 3/8?
3/8.
Okay. So I would say we can trim that stud down.
I have a hacksaw.
Yeah, just figure out what thread it is, trim it down, because it's only going to be one wire on it. And then we can slide it back with the trans.
It's not very big for a battery positive,
I know.
especially for 160 amp.
Right. But it's in.
Say that a lot?
Clutch good?
Fits. Better than some.
Nice.
And it's not a Ford, so I didn't forget the intermediate plate.
Yeah. Done that before. Cool.
It says these go to 52 foot-pounds.
That's the factory spec, or did it come with instructions?
I just looked it up.
Oh.
There's the I hope it's right spec.
Yeah. Good and tight?
Yeah. Loctite will cover my mistakes.
I almost had Oscar powder coat the bell housing, but I was like, you're not even really going to see it anyway.
No,
So
I don't think they would look very good.
hey, it's in there. Have you checked the hood clearance yet? Just what hits the throttle body?
Yeah, well, it clears here, but it doesn't clear there.
Okay, so theoretically we could turn the throttle body upside down,
Yeah.
and it would honestly it would help a lot with the cable, anyways. But the other option is I found the same 92 millimeter throttle body that is on Pina's, and it honestly would probably be a better option. Dude, this is a low profile pan and it still hangs low.
Yeah, low profile, right? So I don't understand why they don't make the same, like, why don't they just make it, like, longer? It's the same amount of oil, just make it shorter here, longer here.
This pan is supposed to be like one of the most swap friendly pans. That's why they did it that way.
There's a car there.
All right, so we got to measure for the drive shaft. So from here to there, and then
And then have it make it wrong so we can make it again.
yeah. No, honestly, at least half the time the drive shafts come in wrong, it's my fault. Cool. Was it as bad as you hoped? I guess you did have to take the tube off, huh?
You know why?
Why?
Because it won't come out of the car.
Oh, the water pump?
Yeah.
You gotta bring it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it, even then, it,
Nice.
yeah. I don't know why you would ever buy a German car. Well,
Says the guy who said, hey, you should buy a twin turbo V8 5 Series.
you should. This is a different type of German car.
Isn't that wild? It's got a vacuum line to like give it variable displacement. I still
that
don't
what
know.
that is?
Yeah, I still don't know how exactly it works, but I guess it has something to do with like where it moves.
Maybe
the
depth. Yeah.
Yeah, or like offsets it to one side. You know, like an eccentric.
I don't know. All I know is I'm pissed off.
What's new?
So there's a missing hole there, which okay, weep hole, right? But the new one has
Well, what's it weeping out of? It looks like it was.
there. There's a thing in there.
That?
I don't know what that is.
So we're. Yeah, it's definitely
Maybe there.
Yeah. Nice.
I don't know. I can't really tell. I don't see like an obvious area.
It's probably there.
But there's
when the bearing starts to go bad, it'll.
Oh, you think there?
Yeah, I mean you see all the nasty.
Yeah. I don't know. This sucks.
Hey, at least you got it.
I gotta put it back together.
Yeah.
So go ahead and show them how much room you have to work with. So I don't have very big hands. Here's a 1/4 inch ratchet for scale. And yeah, there's nothing there.
Yeah, I feel blessed that there's a lot of room at the front of my V8.
Yeah. Well, it's because of the way this car is made. Like, the engine is in front of the wheels. So.
Yeah.
Don't buy an Audi unless you want to do all this for a thermostat.
Oh, so I guess the injectors stay in the head. It's just the upper seals that get disturbed?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it came with all these seals.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna not have to take this head off, or this intake off, but
Yeah.
it hits this coolant pipe.
Yeah, I think the manifolds themselves both have to come off.
Yeah.
From what I was reading.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This one should come off here once I get this connector off.
The whole ordeal. Let me get you another vacuum pump gasket on the way.
Yeah, there was no way to get to those bolts.
Yeah. Is there anything else that I need to order that we didn't get in the kit, like any plastic pieces or gaskets?
Do you want to replace this? Because it's got some oil.
Let me see if I can find it. How hard is it to get to the bolts?
I don't even know. I'm not worried about that yet.
All right.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Okay.
But the high pressure fuel rails off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Happy I went back and replaced this.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Broken?
Broke.
Yeah. So everything's easy except for the front water pipe, huh? Or easy-ish?
Yeah.
Took a long time.
It's all real annoying. But definitely this pipe. It's really the 2 bolts over there and 2 bolts down there and the gaskets.
Yeah.
And then this pipe also is a cock.
Cool.
The rest of it really is straightforward.
Yeah. We're gonna see if we can get a BMW tool to work on an Audi. I think it will. We're gonna use the injector seal driver for BMW direct injectors on the Audi. And it looks like it's gonna work. It's the right size. So, because normally when you tear this apart, the injectors stay in the head and you actually need a slide hammer to get them out. This whole side came out with the intake, which means the seals are dried up. So this would have eventually been a combustion chamber leak. So it's probably a good thing it happened to us, because eventually it would have developed a tick and then it would have made noise and probably engine light.
Well, that's alright, because the other side is probably not far behind.
Well, maybe not. That's kind of a weird... I've never seen these just loosen up like that.
I mean,
because you need a slide hammer to get them out.
I took them off the exact same way the other side came out apart.
It's the old PCV valve assembly, oil separator. Finally putting my downpipes on Black Friday. After I got my ass kicked by injectors. Alright, I got the downpipes out. I'm sweating my ass off. It's 55 degrees in here, but this is a bit of a chore. It doesn't look like it's tight. Just kidding, it looks like it's tight. It's even tighter. The video makes it look like there's a mile. So, this is what happens when you build a car with the motor and everything meant to go in from underneath as an assembly. So I got it out. I'm sure it's the same on some of the 5 Series, but this being a 7. Exhaust is all one piece, so I had to drop the whole thing. I might go ahead and put my mufflers on, we'll see. I need to make sure I have all the material, but Got that out. Getting ready to stick the new downpipes in, which should be a lot less dimensionally challenging because it doesn't have a gigantic catalyst. And oh, it looks like it comes with some hardware and whatnot. But yeah, so last week I had to put injectors in this thing. You can see they're just south of the coils. And you know, I've been slowly replacing all the pieces that might go bad. Fuel pumps, I didn't have a choice. I had to do the high pressure fuel pumps because one of them went out and started giving me lean codes. So I replaced that. I did the upgraded units with the new pigtail. I went ahead and did all 8 coils. The dealership I bought this from did all the spark plugs, BMW spark plugs, so I didn't have to mess with that. And I had an injector hang open last week on the way back from lunch, and luckily it was right around the corner of the shop, but it stuck open and was just black smoking, raw fuel. And so I put 8 Bosch injectors in, and you know, you have to reprogram the enrichment values, so it's this little 3-digit code there on each injector. So I bought the special tool, labeled everything. I wrote down all of my old enrichment values, programmed all my new ones with my Matco scanner. I reset the adaptive learning values, and all of a sudden I was getting all kinds of trouble codes that wiped the encoding off of the slave DME. So I was getting trouble codes for that. It had an extended crank, it wouldn't run worth the shit. All this stuff. And so I was pulling my hair out for the last week, and it had crank sensor codes, but I didn't touch any of that. So I'm looking for like broken wires and all this other stuff. Well, it turns out on the technical update, you don't have any grounds that are attached to the valve covers anymore. It's these brackets. These brackets with the wiring apparently are self-grounding, and I had one of them loose, and I'm assuming probably what happened is it backfed through the crank sensor, which has diodes in it. This is somewhat speculation, is educated speculation. I looked at the BMW wiring diagram. They showed diodes inside the crank sensor, which is probably why it's $100-something. And so I think what happened is it was the electronics were looking for ground, and it backfed and burned up my crank sensor. So I put a new OEM sensor in it, starts up, runs, drives, runs great. I do have a LIN bus communication failure that I still got to diagnose, but it's not causing it to not run. It runs great. It runs really well now, actually. I got an extra 5 miles per gallon by just replacing these injectors. I had no idea that they were on the outs. I just assumed it was my driving habits and driving it in sport mode. But no, it definitely needed injectors for a while. So I'm hoping I can leave this thing alone for a little while. Yeah, so all new injectors, new high pressure fuel pumps, new coils, new spark plugs, all within 2 months of ownership. So if you're thinking about buying one of these, don't have any illusions. Neither did I. I knew I was going to be having to mess with this thing and replace stuff. That was 100% true. I just wish it would have been spread out more than a 2-month time period. But at least for now, knock on wood, I think I'm running out of stuff to replace. Got them all bolted up. I'm working on getting the shields in here now. And it's still a bit of a chore to jam all this stuff in there and get it all to line up. It's, you know, aftermarket versus factory parts. I'm getting there, but it's definitely... just be prepared to have to wiggle and pull, twist your tongue, say lots of bad words, and it'll eventually drop in. Got it all reassembled, and it fits all right. Kind of to be expected with aftermarket parts. The holes there for the O2 sensors don't line up perfectly. Same with the post-cat O2s down there. They don't line up the best, but you know, for aftermarket catless downpipes, you can't really expect OEM fitment. That's close. There's a few areas underneath too where the shields don't fit 100% like they should. I'll only lift it up. Yeah, those are kind of a pain in the ass to install, and it's just because of the car. So you can kind of see up there a little bit. So none of the factory like mounting locations line up. There's a heat shield bolt up there that I could not get in. Can't clip it in there. So this side I was able to get the one up there. Same with back there, I can't get it clipped in. And they supply these little exhaust clamps to hook up to those 2 studs there. Because these things, they didn't fit at all. And so I don't know you know, because these are technically 4 or 5 series and I put them on a 7 series, I wouldn't imagine there's that much of a difference, but you know, I'm sure there's probably some minor production difference. I've been finding that a lot on these cars, so wouldn't really surprise me. But overall, I'm happy with the purchase, and you know, we are a dealer for ARM Motorsports now, so depending on if we can get some BMW clientele, I may add a section to our website. One thing I did do is I took a hose clamp and I jammed the M Sport muffler actuators open to give it a better sound. And so with that and the downpipes, this thing actually sounds really good. So I'm gonna lower it down and start it up, give you a couple of revs so you can kind of see how it sounds. I didn't take any before, but there's definitely an improvement. I already went and drove it with the downpipes on and the actuators stuck open, and it sounds really good. So I'm sure with an X pipe and the resonator deletes, it'll sound even better. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with it, and driving it has got a good tone to it. So we'll see how I like it with the X-pipe and the resonator deletes. With the factory muffler with the actuator jammed open, I may end up not using these at all. Those are my vibrant mufflers that were off my LS400. They were supposed to go on the 460 before it got wrecked. And then the BMW, it runs amazing with the downpipes. I also put some twin spoke blackout grills. So it's like the newer G Series has the twin spokes. And I think it looks really good on this car. It really should have had it from the factory, but I don't know. And we've used it more in the last few months than we have in the last few years. Doing a boost leak check.
We got about 10 pounds in it.
What
right
popped
now.
off earlier?
These.
Oh, they weren't tight enough?
Yeah. Well, I didn't put these on. I left it how it was,
Oh.
and I didn't tighten them. It's at 10 pounds right now. Yeah, we're about 10 pounds.
I don't think it has boost leaks. I think it's related to these boost jets being an issue.
Yeah, because like when I was driving it, it felt great.
I mean, you know, at least we can just say definitively, like, look,
Let's
you
do
don't
our
have any
due
boost
diligence.
leaks. Yeah, no boost leaks. Just got Mr. Frazier's twin turbo finished up. This one came in for like it was losing boost, and turns out we did a bunch of stuff to it. We did a boost leak check. We did a few other things, making sure that nothing else was causing the issue. No boost leaks. We pressurized the wastegates, making sure they were holding. They were. Vacuum tested them. And this had boost jets installed, you know, old school technology from Houston Z, which is now SCR. Shout out to them if you're in the Houston area and you need a reputable Nissan Datsun shop. We do quite a bit of business with SCR as far as selling parts and providing tech support for some of our products, things like that. So check them out. Dane, the owner, basically has the same story that I do. Started in his garage and then blew up. And here we are. We ended up doing a Greddy boost controller, and Mr. Frazier wanted kind of a custom type inlay, so he provided us a single DIN Pioneer flip-up screen, and he wanted his boost controller mounted below it. They do sell cup holder boost controller things, or ashtray. It's a cup holder with a mount for the Greddy controller instead of an ashtray. It's a 3D printed piece, but that wasn't really his style, so we came up with this. We built this panel out of sheet aluminum, which we keep in stock. We got one of these plastic panels for double DIN radios, and then we made custom brackets and a custom panel that we powder coated with textured black in-house to mount his boost controller with the single DIN radio. Yeah, it turned out really nicely, and so this thing has been tuned for about 14 pounds of boost. So we set the low boost at 10, high boost at 14, and this thing is fast again. It took us a few days to get the condition isolated because every time I drove it and every time Bo drove it, it would make full boost. And then finally, after we got it driving for a while, it started acting up so that we could properly diagnose the issue. So that pretty much wraps it up for November. Right now we've got our annual end of year sale going on. The coupon codes can be found in the link at the bottom below. It's GodzillaRaceworks.com/goodbuy2023. And we've got Megasquirt 2 plug and play kits on sale, $100 off. We've got a whole host of GRW branded products at 10% off. PaulNet fuel rails, $10 off. We've got Bosch EV6 injectors, 15% off. They carry a lifetime warranty. They're also flow matched within 1%. The nice thing about the Bosch EV6 injectors is, say you decide that you bought something that's a little too small and you want to change up the size later, you don't have to buy a whole set of new injectors. Our vendor will resize them. What they do is they buy all of the individual pieces to build these injectors, and then they size them based off of what your requirements are. So say you bought 265 cc's and you want to upgrade to 440, it's about half the cost of upgrading to all new injectors versus just having them resized with different size nozzles. So keep that in mind when you're buying our Bosch EV6 injectors. They are very versatile, best warranty in the industry, no questions asked. That's what lifetime means. Lifetime warranty means lifetime warranty. You have any issues whatsoever, we'll get them swapped out, no problem. Even though this is the November vlog, I want to go ahead and thank everybody because this is going to be released end of December. I want to thank all of our valuable clients for sticking with us this year. We definitely appreciate your business. You know, at the end of the day, we are becoming bigger and bigger every year, but we're still small business. You know, we're not Summit Racing by any means. So, you know, every dollar you spend with us matters. It goes to support all of our families here and help us keep doing this thing. So I want to give every customer who's been with us since the beginning a huge shout out, a huge thank you. All of the new customers we've made this year, we appreciate your business. We look forward to serving you in 2024. You know, this has been a very transformative year for us. We were very blessed to see a huge surge in growth back in 2020 and 2021 with all of the extra money out on the street. With that comes exponential growth, and at a certain point it becomes unsustainable without making major changes. And so we've been working very hard this year to make lots of changes. We have basically a whole electronic system now that tracks our orders to and from. We eliminated several different areas where miscommunications were happening between me and the front office and the staff here in the back. Communication issues with customers. We're still working on a few things. Our tech support is still lagging because I'm still the only one that can do a lot of the tech support. So, you know, unfortunately, until further notice, I can only do it over email. But we're working on a fix for that coming into the new year. You know, we have solved a lot of the various communication issues that we did have throughout this past year, as well as more accurate promise times. We've been changing a few things in the shop structure, changing a few ways that we make certain parts to reduce the lead time. So we've been working very hard this year, and we certainly appreciate you guys sticking with us. It's been a major undertaking, a lot of the changes that we've made, but we're already starting to see the results in that, and having a lot less upset people, you know, with some of the excessive lead times we've seen and things like that. So we look forward to pushing these changes through into the new year and having a much smoother operation from now on. I do also want to highlight all of our hardworking staff. I'd like to give a huge shout out and thank you to Bo and Caleb. They're my two shop technicians. They're also fabricators. And on occasion, they also do products, depending on what they are. But their primary focus is getting some of these cars out, helping me with parts development, things like that. Huge shout out to Ryan. He's our main product specialist at this point. He's the one that is building all of the Megasquirts, the intercooler kits. You know, he slowly chips away at everything back here, and he's been instrumental in helping us maintain our promise times with customers. So huge thank you to him. I'm putting their Instagrams down in the description below if you want to follow any of their builds or anything they got going on with their cars. Because, you know, at the end of the day, all of us here are very passionate about what we do. You know, this is a hobby that we do professionally, and we're fortunate enough to be able to do our hobby for a living. Shout out to Courtney in the front office. She doesn't like being on film, so that's cool, but we're still going to give her a shout out anyways because she's the one that does 90% of the shipping now, does most of the customer onboarding as far as local clients, customers giving us calls, things like that. She's the one that's logging everything into our system for me to communicate with customers and whatnot. Huge thank you to all the vendors that we partner with that allows us to do what we do, offer great products to customers, things like that. Appreciate y'all watching. Thank you so much again for a great year, and we look forward to seeing y'all in the next year. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Share our videos with your friends, tell everybody about us, help us get monetized, so on and so forth. We'll see you in 2024.